I'm Portia, and while everyone is quarantining themselves in their homes because of the coronavirus, I thought that now would be a good time for introspection to become better people. Why not take the lemons that is the coronavirus and make lemonade? Sorry in advance for the noise. It's raining outside. Bear with me. Now, the title of this video is Are You Avoidant? So that's what we're going to be talking about and trying to figure out. I have been reading this book called Attached. It's by Dr. Amir Levine and Rachel S.F. Heller, M.A. That's a long name. We're going to be going through some of the passages in this book that I felt really lit some light bulbs and I felt would be really good and helpful to explore for the people who want to move into the secure attachment style. I mean, I don't know why you would want to keep being avoidant or being anxious and not want to be secure, because we want to go out into the world and have these healthy, happy relationships. So that's why we're going to explore this book, because they've done a lot of the work for us, and at this point we just have to fill in the gaps for ourselves and work on it. What is an attachment style? I can't say it better than the people who wrote this book. Basically, is how we as human beings are programmed to attach or not to other people. There are three, arguably four, attachment styles. The first one is secure. So you have a secure and healthy attachment to human beings. You feel safe and can enjoy physical and emotional intimacy with people. And there's anxious attachment style. That is what we would kind of call clingers. You have avoidant attachment. You are uncomfortable with attaching and therefore don't attach. Those are what we call distant or emotionally unavailable people. And then you have a fourth category that combines both. Anxious avoidant attachment style. You are both anxiously desiring of an attachment but also avoiding it at the same time. And for a large part of my life, I say that I identified as anxious avoidant. As soon as I was feeling that I was getting close, I would disappear. The anxious side of me would kick in, and then I would become clingy. I would see that it was working to get my intimacy, and so then the avoidant part of me would kick in, and then I would disappear. It don't make sense. And it's very unhealthy and very toxic, so I did a lot of work on it, and I feel that at this point in my life, I'm more avoidant than anything. And I am definitely headed more towards secure and being the secure attachment than I ever have in my life. Okay, so enough of an introduction. You have a basic understanding of what an attachment style is. Now, how do you know if you're avoidant? And the reason why I start with this, aside from the fact that I identify more with being avoidant, is also because being an avoidant person is almost like an invisible attachment style, because you don't really realize that you're avoidant. People can kind of realize that they're being clingy, but how do you know when you're avoidant? It's easier to see when something's there. It's harder to see when something's not there. Sometimes it requires a big shift. For me, it was studying abroad and being away from everyone that I ever thought that I cared about, and realizing I didn't actually miss them because I didn't actually form any attachment to them. And that's kind of like a shake-up sometimes that people who are avoidant need. Without it, you'll never realize that you're running away from relationships. Also because your own philosophies can be so airtight that you don't realize that they're excuses. You know, the philosophy of, I don't need relationships, I'm okay all by myself, I only rely on myself, I only depend on myself. That can be so airtight. It can feel like you are secure when you're not, and that's why I'm doing this video, so that you can see for yourself. Are you actually avoidant even though you think that you're secure? Let's look at the book. The huge thing that stood out for me was they're talking about deactivating strategies. Now, a deactivating strategy is something that an avoidant person does to create space for themselves, because a huge thing about being an avoidant person is that we feel threatened. We feel threatened often by intimacy and by people trying to close the gap, and by people trying to love us. Why do you have to call me so much and care so much? I mean, it sounds dumb when you say it out loud, but like, this is how we feel. We feel threatened. When we feel threatened, we perform these deactivating strategies. Here are some of the strategies that they talk about. See if any of these relate to you, or if they strike a chord in you, because they certainly struck a chord in me. Saying or thinking, I'm not ready to commit, but staying together nonetheless, sometimes for years. This is what I kind of call mixed signals: being hot and cold, being very wishy-washy, non-committal. Focusing on small imperfections in your partner, the way he, she talks, dresses, eats, or XYZ, and allowing it to get in the way of your romantic feelings. That's me. That's the definition of me. Like, I will look at the most minute issue, and not even just in my romantic partners, but like my friends with my family, and have that be the whole reason why I don't want to talk to them or get close to them, or why I start to feel annoyed by them. And that damages the relationship, because then I feel that I have to say something, and really what I'm doing is just criticizing them and trying to get space, because I can feel myself getting intimate with them. When you know someone, that is a form of intimacy, of being able to recognize someone's patterns and see how they talk in the minutia of their behaviors. Like, that is a form of intimacy. And when you start to feel that and feel that you know this person, if you are an avoidant person, that is threatening to you. You gotta run. So that's how you do it. You do it by making yourself not like them. And that's what I do. So, pining after an ex-girlfriend / boyfriend, pulling away when things are going well, like not calling for several days after an intimate date, forming relationships with an impossible future, such as with someone who's married or gay. Oh my God, I can't tell you the amount of crushes I've had on gay men, just like straight up gay. Like, they're not bisexual at all. I'm just like, oh my God, I love you. I love you so much. But it's because you can never be with me. When you place your emotional feelings onto someone who can never reciprocate, that's safe, that's safety. You know that there's no real risk involved, because the person's never going to be with you anyway. Avoiding physical closeness, like not wanting to share the same bed, not wanting to have sex, walking several strides ahead of your partner. I've definitely done that. I had a huge fear of physical intimacy. Almost every woman in my family has been molested or raped. This fear of being physical, having people infringe upon your space, it was around me, and it was taught to me that you need to protect yourself from outsiders. I saw how it affected people in my family. I mean, including myself. I've been sexually assaulted. When you're growing up, when you're learning the rules of the world, how to engage with other people and how to navigate the space, your biggest concern is safety. You want to feel safe. So for me and for a lot of people, you adapt the philosophy that in order to feel safe, you take the responsibility onto yourself of you have to be the one who keeps yourself safe, even though the truth of the matter is people do bad things. Whether you protect yourself or not, whether you push other people away or not, people rape and they molest and they assault regardless. But you still try to do everything that you can, and that's what I did. After so many years, you forget the reason why you do something and the reason why you push people away, and it just becomes a part of you. Forget that it was to keep you safe from a threat, but then everything becomes a threat. And yeah, it kept me safe, and for the most part, it kept predators away, but it kept love away too. Something to clue yourself into as well, thinking about your past relationships or your past experiences with friends or family or anyone who you deemed was getting like way too close to you or was too clingy and you had to go away, or just anyone that you've ghosted, like you've never even gotten to the point of even being in a relationship because you felt so threatened. Afterwards, when the threat of the person's closeness was taken away, did you still feel like the person had all these flaws, or were you then able to see like, oh, they were actually a really kind person, they were a really thoughtful person, really giving and patient? Like, were you then able to see the good qualities that they had, and then also maybe lament that you threw that person away, or you ran away from that person so quickly? If you have a few examples of that in your past, you might be avoidant, baby. Why do we feel this way? Why are we avoidant people? There are a few reasons why. I mean, a huge part of it comes from your childhood. Usually avoidant children are created from neglect. They were neglected by their parents or their caregivers, either physically, emotionally, or both. I just want to interject to make sure that people know that my parents are amazing. When we form these attachment styles, when we talk about abandonment, neglect, these are very strong charged words, but they are almost never intentional. Barring shitty parents, a parent never intentionally wants to be emotionally neglectful to their children. They did what they did with the options that they had. My father is really great, and I'm really getting to have a really good relationship with him. But he lived in Georgia, and I lived in Maryland. That's like a 12-hour drive. My mom is amazing. She's my best friend. But she had 4 jobs when I was growing up. She couldn't be there. She had to take care of 3 children by herself. This isn't a blame game. And I understand that this was never anyone's intentions. So they were saying that, when it came to your parents or your guardians when you were a child, They just weren't there when you needed them. I think that's the difference. It's not just that someone wasn't there. It's they weren't there when you needed them, because that's the whole point of this attachment, being afraid to attach to someone because you also actually need them. But in your childhood, because your caregiver wasn't there when you needed them, that this other person in your life definitely won't be there when you need them. And that's frightening. Who would go headfirst into being abandoned? In turn, you actually abandon people. Avoidants are the #1 abandoners. You might not even realize that you are going out of your way to not attach and to not have relationships. Kind of look at your history, like your romantic history, your friend history. Are you more alone than not? I have been alone like 80% of my life. And I say it's my choice, and it is my choice. That's the thing. That's how we can get so caught up in it, is thinking I'm alone because I want to be alone. Yeah, you want to be alone, but how much of that is you actually just running away from what would otherwise be healthy relationships? Because not everybody is fucked up. Not everybody is so incompatible with you that relationships are just impossible. That's an excuse. And I've definitely made those excuses. A lot of us have the philosophy, whether we realize it or not, that we want to be independent. And there's nothing wrong with being independent, but the idea that you can only count on yourself, I can only count on myself. I mean, it says it even right here, like, why would I waste my time being with someone when I can only count on myself? And whether we say this out loud, this is how we feel and how we've been conditioned. But the truth of the matter is, and what this person's therapist in this book has said, is that of course you can and should count on other people. You do it all the time anyway. We all do. We all count on other people. That's why anything works. Business can't be a business with one person. You have everyone underneath. There's an entire team, an entire corporation of people that you count on to make this thing work. That's how the whole world is ran. We all count on people. But when it comes to romantic relationships, or somehow the rules have changed. Can't count on anyone. Well, your relationship is your business. You can't have a business with one person. You gotta rely on somebody else to make it work. And thus, we diminish the importance of getting support from other people, thus cutting ourselves off from an important lifeline. Like partners, romantic partners, family, friends, they are a vital lifeline. I couldn't have done half, 80, potentially 100% of the shit that I've done without my friends and family, and even my romantic partners. I couldn't have done it. I can't live in the apartment that I live in right now without my friends. I have 2 roommates. We have to stop looking at the people in our lives as taking from us. They actually enrich our lives and make bigger things possible. It's called partner for a reason. Your partner isn't there to steal from you and suck the life force away from you. That's parasite, not a partner. I know they begin with P, but it's very different. A lot of the times we're talking about being independent, but what we actually want isn't independence. What we want is happiness, because everything that we do in life is a vehicle that drives us towards happiness. I can be in this apartment, this beautiful apartment in the middle of Los Angeles, one of the most expensive cities in the country, because I have friends that I rely on and that I depend on. If I insisted upon doing this all by myself, I would be very unhappy. I'm sure I would have my independence, but I would be broke. This is deep, y'all. So now that we've started to piece together some of the clues to figure out, hey, we might actually be avoidant. Now what? So I'm gonna do another video where we go back into the book and we explore how we can step away from being and acting in an avoidant manner so that we can step towards a secure attachment style. But I think a huge part of that, even before we start to get into that, we have to do introspection, and we have to be the ones to actively push towards being a more secure person. We are, and we bring about what we perform. I was going to do a video on this too, but basically a lot of us get very caught up in who we think we are and who we want to be, and maybe who we were, 10 years ago, 15 years ago, and not who we actually are right now and what we perform. A lot of people want to have a secure attachment, had a secure attachment, but they actively perform anxiousness and avoidance. If you avoid people, if you ghost them, if you don't talk to them, if you are given the chance to have a secure attachment with someone and then you push it away, you are not a secure person. You are avoidant. And I'm looking at myself. I'm looking at you, Portia. But I'm also looking at everybody else who was in denial. If you actually want to be a secure person, you have to take the steps. So in the next video, we're going to talk about the steps. What are the steps that we got to do? And then we just got to do them.